Hello everyone, this is Kubac from LBP Union, and today I will be guiding you through a brand new updated guide on how to patch LittleBigPlanet 1, 2 or 3 to connect to Beacon custom server. This tutorial will cover all necessary steps for you to be able to connect to the custom server of LittleBigPlanet, and is going to focus on connecting to Beacon custom server. However, if you want to connect to any different custom server, then this tutorial will still help you out. Nevertheless, here's the full list of timestamps of each step that you will need to go through in order to successfully patch LittleBigPlanet games to connect to Beacon. Starting off with jailbreaking your PS3. In my case, I use a PlayStation 3 Super Slim model, so I will have to resort to hybrid firmware and PlayStation 3 homebrew enabler, or PS3 HEN in short. Then we go through next two steps required before patching using a refresher, which is enabling the necessary settings in the webMAN configuration, which is enabling FTP and PS3 MAPI, which is going to be required for patching the game. As well as we'll be making sure that your game is ready to be patched, for example, updating your game to the latest version. And the last final step, which is to finally patch the game using refresher. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to be explaining how you can play on a multiplayer in LittleBigPlanet, as this has changed since the new introduction of the security feature that requires you to use Patchwork. And I'm going to be explaining what you can do to be able to play with your friends online. So the first step is going to involve around jailbreaking the PS3. In my case, I have a PlayStation 3 Super Slim model right here. So that means I'm gonna have to resort to installing a hybrid firmware alongside a PlayStation 3 homebrew enabler, or PS3 HEN in short. So for this, you're going to need any USB storage device. So for example, I have like this USB thumb drive right here that has 16 gigabytes of storage. And this will be suitable. It doesn't really need to be a very high capacity USB storage device because the hybrid firmware is quite small, but you're going to require it in order to be able to patch the hybrid firmware successfully. So now that we have this USB thumb drive, we're going to insert it to PC in order to prepare this USB drive to be able to connect it to PS3 and then to install hybrid firmware of this USB drive on our PS3. So let me just do that real quick. There we go. It has been inserted and we got this Explorer right here. Now that we have inserted our USB drive onto our PC, this Windows Explorer window with the contents of the USB drive has automatically opened for us. As you can see, there's nothing in our USB drive right now, but this doesn't really matter in this, right now. We're just going to head over to main Explorer window, and we're going to have to now make sure that this USB drive is correctly recognized by the PS3. So for this, first thing, we have to make sure that this USB drive is formatted using the FAT32 file system, which we have right here. And then we're also going to have to make sure that this USB drive is also formatted using the master boot record, or MBR partition table format. To check that, you're going to have to make sure that you go into Start menu, right click the Start menu, and then go to the disk management, and then click the USB device of our choice, and then right click this left side of our disk right here, and then go to properties, and then under volumes you're going to see the partition style, and in our case it says master boot record. This is the target partition style that you want to go for, and if for whatever reason it says GPT instead, then you're going to need to change the partition style, otherwise the PS3 is not going to recognize USB drive. So in order to change that, you're going to need to close out of the disk management for now, and then we're going to go to command prompt. So you can type in the search results of Windows CMD. Then you're gonna make sure that you run this command prompt as administrator, and we hit accept on our UAC prompt. And now we're gonna have to type in disk part. And once this part is loaded, we're going to need to list our disks right here using the list disk command. And then we have to recognize which disk is our USB drive. In our case, since the USB drive is 16 gigabytes of capacity, then as you can see, this is the last one right here where it says the size is 14 gigabytes. This is our USB drive. So we're going to insert our command select disk, and then number 4 to select our USB drive that we have recognized. And then we need to use the command clean. Now before you do that, you gotta make sure that you back up all the files that are stored currently in your USB drive, because this command is going to wipe all of our contents of the USB drive. It's gonna turn this USB drive into an empty drive. Now that you made sure that you have backed up all the files, you're gonna have to go ahead and press enter to accept this command. As you can see, it says that it succeeded in cleaning the disk. So now that we have succeeded in cleaning the disk, we're going to go ahead and type in convert MBR. As you can see, we successfully converted the selected disk to MBR format. So now you can go back to our drive right here. We're going to go back to right click, start menu, go to disk management, and then scroll down on the disk management till you see the USB drive with unallocated space. You're going to need to right click this unallocated space and then click new simple volume, then click next, next, click next. You can choose the volume name. I'm just gonna type in USB, it doesn't really matter. And then you're gonna make sure that the file system selected is FAT32. Any other file format will not work because otherwise PS3 will not recognize the USB drive. And then we're gonna click next and then click finish. After doing that, the USB drive will be successfully formatted, and as you can see, the USB drive has automatically opened. And then you can right click the Windows Explorer just to make sure that it is correctly formatted to the file system FAT32, which is right here. So now that you have made sure that this USB drive is correctly formatted, we're going to go and visit one of the first links that I'm going to link down in my video description, which is going to be link for the hybrid PS3 firmware, which is going to be the thing that we're going to be using. If you have a CFW compatible PlayStation 3, I suggest you go use that instead, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use hybrid firmware. So I'm just gonna paste this link right here, and then we have this blog post of the psx-plays.com website right here. We're going to need to click on this link right here, ps3update.pub. We're going to go ahead and click that. We can download it anywhere, doesn't necessarily matter, and let it download. It's gonna take a little while depending on the network speed. Now that it's downloaded, we're gonna go ahead and open the folder containing the PUP file that we just downloaded, and now we're going to need to create a folder in our USB drive called PS3, all uppercase. This is very important, otherwise once again PS3 is not going to recognize it. We click into that folder, we create yet another folder inside of the PS3 folder called update. Once again, all uppercase, and then we can click into this folder again, and this is where we drag and drop this file right here. This is gonna take a bit of time. Once that is uploaded to our USB drive, we also need to make sure that this has a proper name. So once again, PS3 is going to recognize this update that we're going to install. So for this, we're gonna make sure that this file is named exactly, once again, all uppercase, PS3 update.pub. Now, once that we have our firmware uploaded to our USB drive, we need to download one more file. Once again, we're gonna have a link for the download down in my video description, and we're going to need to download webMAN mod. This is going to be also required for us to correctly patch the LittleBigPlanet games in order to be able to play on a custom server. So for this, we're going to need to select this one right here, webman_mod installer.pkg. We're going to go ahead and click that, and then once again download this file right here. It has successfully downloaded. So we go ahead and once again open up the folder containing the file that we just downloaded, and we will once again drag and drop this file into our USB drive. This time it can be in whichever location as long as it's in the USB drive. And there we go. And now once that we have our webman mod uploaded to our USB drive, we're going to go ahead and download yet another file. And once again, I'm gonna put the link for the file down in the description of the video. And in this website, you're gonna go ahead and download multiMAN base. Save, and once that is downloaded, once again we go visit the folder in which the multiMAN has been downloaded, and we once again drag and drop the PKG file into any location as long as it's in our USB drive right here. Now that we have all the necessary files uploaded to our USB drive, we can now eject it from our PC. We're going to go ahead and right click our USB drive, and then we click eject. Now that we have our USB drive ready, we're going to go ahead and unplug our USB drive off our PC right here, and then the same USB drive that we have just prepared, we're going to go ahead and plug it into our PS3. There we go, it's in. And now we turn on our PS3 And I'm going to now follow all the steps in our PS3. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch to our PS3 screen. Now that we are on our PS3, we're going to go ahead and log into our PS3, and then we're gonna have to make sure that we do the first necessary steps in order to get prepared for the PS3 jailbreak. Make sure that we have all this configured, otherwise the jailbreaking process might break and it may not work correctly. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and go into the internet browser. And then we need to configure some things in the internet browser to make sure that this process of jailbreaking is going to go through successfully. So now we need to hit triangle to go into the browser options. Then we go into tools, and then first we're gonna make sure that we delete every single data from the internet browser. So we have as clean of the internet browser on our PS3 as possible. So for this, we go to tools, we go into delete cookies, we confirm that. Now we go back to the menus with a triangle, go back to tools, delete search history. We once again confirm that we want to delete all the search history. Once again, we go back to the triangle menu, go to tools, delete cache, and then once again go back to triangle, tools, and then delete authentication information. And we once again confirm that. Now that we have done that, we once again go back to the triangle menu, and then we need to make sure we go into tools, then go into confirm browser close. We want to make sure that we have that disabled, so it is set to off. Okay, now that we have all the settings in the internet browser set correctly, now we go to the tools again, and now we go into the triangle menu again. We go into tools, we scroll down till we go to home page, and we want to make sure that the address of the home page is set to about blank. Or you can just click use blank page, is going to set automatically. And then we click OK. Now that we have all of that set, we're going to back out of our browser. We can just press single once, since we set the confirm browser setting to off, so it's gonna close automatically. And now one more thing that we need to make sure that doesn't happen is that when you go into the sign in, say we may have something like auto sign up for the PSN. Imagine that you have sign up automatically enabled, and it's gonna say that the PSN that you have successfully connected to PSN. Then you want to make sure that you hit triangle on the account management icon and you press sign out. Once you signed out, you want to go ahead and click X on sign in. You want to make sure that you disable this option sign in automatically. So you want to make sure that the PS3, once it boots up, it doesn't automatically sign into PSN. This is important because this allows us to avoid any unnecessary PSN sign-ins and any unnecessary logging of the syscalls, which could theoretically get your PSN account banned, because once again you're going to use a jailbreak and you want to make sure we avoid any form of activity that is regarded as illegitimate on our PS3 to report it to Sony. So we want to make sure that we first disable our automatic sign-in. Now that we have unticked the sign-in automatically option, we can back out of this option. And now with our USB drive inserted on our PS3, we're going to go ahead and go all the way to the settings, and then go into system update, and then choose the option update via storage media. As you can see, it has successfully detected the following update data. It says version 4.92, location USB device. We're going to go ahead and click OK. Scroll to the right to agree to the user agreement. We hit accept, and then we go ahead and click start. It's gonna take a while. The PS3 is going to restart automatically after it is successfully copied the update data. Now the PS3 has restarted once to check for the update data, and now it is installing the PS3 hybrid firmware update. Make sure that the PS3 is not shut down during the process. And now that we have successfully patched our PS3 to the latest hybrid firmware, we're going to go ahead and log back in. And now we need to go to the internet browser. Press start to open up the address insert window, and then we're gonna go ahead and type in http://ps3 exploit.me. We're gonna go ahead and press start twice. And we have now landed into the PS3 exploit team website. And now that once we're in this website, we're gonna go with our cursor all the way to the top left, and then hover over PS3 hen, and then hover over hen auto installer, and then press X. It's going to download PS3 hen, as you can see right here. download completed, and then we're gonna go ahead and click all install hen, and we're gonna make sure that this is going to go through correctly. We must not touch anything right now. Sometimes this fails, but we can go ahead and refresh this page and try again. If it fails again, make sure to close this window browser again, open it up again, and go to triangle, go to our history, and go back to PS3 hen auto installer, and then try auto install hen once again. And we should hopefully have it working. Auto hen install initialized successfully, as we saw. So now it's installing hen. We see in the welcome to hen on the top right corner. As you can see, now it's automatically installing the latest hen. And once the download is completed, we press circle. It's gonna install automatically, as you can see right here. The install has been completed, and now the PS3 is going to restart once more. Just wait it out till it does. As you can see, we have just saw a PS3 hen logo, so that means we have successfully installed PS3 hen. We can go ahead and log into our account once more. And now, before we go through the next steps, now we have to enable hen. So this happens whenever you boot up to a PS3 hen, you will see this option enable hen under the game category. You want to make sure that you enable it every time you want to boot into the PS3. We go ahead and press X. This website is going to open. We see the PS3 hen logo, and if the PS3 hen turns on correctly, then you can see in the top right we see the information that the PS3 hen has been enabled successfully. Now we need to go ahead and scroll down till we see a package manager. Then we go into install package files, and then we go into the storage device, which is our USB drive right here. And now we install these both packages. We go ahead and click X. It sees that the package has already been installed, but we're going to go ahead and install it once more. There we go, it has successfully been installed. This should allow multiMAN to pop up right here, as you can see. And now that we have multiMAN installed, we're gonna go back to package installer once again, install package and standard once again, and then we're gonna go ahead and install webMAN mod. As you can see, the install has been completed. We can back out of that now. And we have successfully jailbroken our PS3. Now we are fully on PS3 hen. So once we have done that, we are going to go ahead and move on to the next steps, which is to make sure that our PS3 hen or our jailbroken PS3 is prepared so we can utilize refresher. Before we go into the next step, we also need to go ahead and scroll down till we find the webMAN mod installer. This is something we have just installed. So we need to hold down L1 because we need to install the full version, and then press X. And then keep holding L1 to install the full version of webMAN mod. As you can see, it's installing webMAN mod full. And as you can see, the PS3 has restarted once more. So we're gonna log back into our account. And now that we have installed webMAN mod, we need to once again enable our hen. And now once PS3 hen has been enabled, we go scroll down to webMAN games, and then we press webMAN setup, and then we go into PS3 webMAN setup. Okay, and this browser window opens up as a result. We need to go ahead and go into XMB in-game path shortcuts. We're gonna go ahead and expand that, and then you want to make sure down here where it says delete CFW syscalls, we have this option selected as well, which is CCAPI PS3 MAPI, and then we will make sure this is set as enabled. We go ahead and click save. But as you can see, it says that the settings have been updated, and now we need to click here to restart our PS3 system again. We log back into our PS3. We once again enable hen, and now we need to enable one more thing, which is to enable the FTP access. For this, we need to scroll down and open up multiMAN. Now it says installing MMCM data to an internal NTHD. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes PS3 hen is sometimes unstable. So as you see here right now, we see nothing but a black screen. If you see nothing go beyond that for like 1 minute or so, you should just simply hold down the power button on our PS3 till it turns off. Unfortunately, the PS3 has kind of frozen midway through launching MMCM, so we unfortunately had to restart our PS3. But we go back once again, we enable our hen. This is something to keep in mind because with PS3 hen, unfortunately, this tends to happen. So whenever you're doing anything, you're launching the game, etc., and the only thing you see is a black screen after launching a certain application, well, you unfortunately have to just hold down the power button of the PS3 and then turn it on again. So we're gonna launch multiMAN once again. I'm assuming what it meant to do is to launch launch me directly to MMCM, but for whatever reason it failed, so we're going to do it again. Now it's applying standard theme. And we have successfully booted into multiMAN. Now, depending on the settings, by default you may either see this or you may see this menu right here. So if you're not launched into this menu, you're gonna make sure that you just press select and start simultaneously, and this should bring you to this XMB-like menu right here. So now, once you're into that menu, you're going to go ahead and go to the settings, then go down to FTP servers, and then by default it may probably be set as disable, but you want to make sure it is set to enable, no timeout. Once you do that, you can exit out of the MMCM right here. Press PS button to go into the main XMB menu and then quit game. Confirm that you want to quit game. And we have successfully go for our first step, which is making sure we enable FTP access and PS3 mapping. So now the next step is to make sure that our LittleBigPlanet copy is running on the latest version. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pop in my disk version of LittleBigPlanet 2. So we want to make sure that you hit triangle and then check for update that we have the latest version installed. As you can see, it has detected that I am not running the latest version, so we're gonna go ahead and click OK. And depending on if you have updated the game or not, it's gonna take a while. I'm assuming if you haven't downloaded all the updates for the LittleBigPlanet 2 copy, then it's gonna take roughly about half an hour, so I'm just gonna skip through this process and wait till it's done. Now that we have successfully installed all the updates for LittleBigPlanet 2, now we're gonna go ahead and go back to our PC. And now that we are back on our PC, we're going to need to download one more thing. This is going to be the last thing that we'll ever need to download for the sake of this tutorial, which is Refresher. Refresher is a tool that allows us to patch a LittleBigPlanet copy to be able to connect to the custom server. We got the GitHub link right here. Once again, I'm gonna put this link down into the video description. So once we reach this GitHub page, we wanna make sure to go into the latest version, and then we pick the download link of the refresher that is appropriate for our operating system. In our case, since we are using Windows, we're gonna go ahead and click refresher for Windows x64. And once that is downloaded, we're gonna go ahead and open it. Sometimes this will pop up saying that Windows protected your PC, but you just need to go into more info and then click run anyway. If you don't have .NET installed, it's just going to prompt you to install the .NET framework. We're gonna go ahead and click download it now. It's gonna open up another tab, and then we're gonna click save. And once .NET runtime installer is going to download, we're gonna go ahead and click it, and then we click install. Accept the UEC prompt window, and as you can see, the runtime has been successfully installed. So now we go back to our downloaded refresher once again, and if all done correctly, this window should pop up right here. Now that we have a refresher open, we need to pick the first option right here, which is patch LBP 1, 2 or 3 for PS3. And this new window opens up where we have to fill our necessary info. So the first one is console IP. In order to get our console IP, we're going to go back to our PS3 real quick. And on our PS3, in order to see our IP with our PS3 hand enabled, we can go ahead and hold select and start buttons on our controller. And right here, we can see our IP of our PS3 right here. So it's 192.168.0.42. So now we head back to our PC and then fill our IP address of our console right here. So 192.168.0.42. And then we click connect. This is going to scan through all our games that we have on our PS3. And once it's finished, now we're gonna have to select our game right here. We click on that box next to game, and then we choose the LittleBigPlanet game that we want to have patched. So in our case, it's going to be LittleBigPlanet 2. Next, we're going to need to insert the URL for the custom server. In our case, it's going to be beacon, so we're going to insert beacon.lbpunion.com. And then very important last one is the lobby password. This is the new option that has been introduced by Patchwork. It's the latest security feature that allows people to randomize the XXT keys, which are responsible for authenticating multiple people online in the sessions. Right now, if you leave it at blank, then it's going to generate a randomized XXT key, which will prevent everyone from joining you. But if you want to be able to play with your friends in online multiplayer, you're going to need to specify a lobby password and then share that password with your friends, so you'll be able to connect with them. For the case of this tutorial, I'm just going to insert the password test1234, and once we fill that, we're going to need to click auto discover, so refresher will automatically detect and insert our appropriate server URL over here. Once that it has successfully detected a proper URL for the server, we're going to click patch. And once that is done, we can exit out of the refresher, and now we can move back onto our PS3. And now we're back on our PS3, and this is going to be very important. You have to do it every time you want to go back to the PS3 and run LittleBigPlanet to play on a custom server. So first things first, you're gonna make sure that you have PS3 hand enabled. As you can see, I already have it enabled because the webMAN games folder shows up. So now that you have made sure that the PS3 hand is running, now we're gonna go into the game without signing in to the PSN. This is also very important. Make sure you're still signed out of PSN while going to the game. As you can see now, the Patchwork 1.0 loaded for LBP2 message showed up right here on the top right screen. That means that the patch has been applied successfully. Okay, now we have loaded into the game. So once now that we are in the game, we can go back into our PS menu. We just press the PS button on our controller to do that. And now, next very important thing is to hold R2 on our controller and then press triangle. As you can see in the top right screen, it says history files and CFW syscalls deleted OK. So that means it has deleted all the history with our modded PS3. So now we can safely sign in to the PSN. This is required because we are still required to log into PSN, as the LittleBigPlanet requires to be signed into PSN in order for the online multiplayer to work. So now we go ahead and click sign in. And now the game has automatically recognized that we are back in the PlayStation network, and then it's asking us, would you like to try to sign into the LittleBigPlanet servers? We go ahead and click yes, and there we have it. We have successfully connected to the custom servers, specifically Beacon. As you can see, we got the announcement from Beacon. We click OK, and there we go. We should hopefully load into our Earth and Moon. The background should be switched soon, and there we have it. We have successfully connected to Beacon, and we have all the levels back that we can browse in. Now here's the thing about the online multiplayer. As I stated while patching refresher, in order to be able to play online multiplayer with your friends or anyone at all, you want to make sure that they patch the game with the exact same steps and with the same password. So now I'm going to attempt to join a friend of mine who is currently in the game. We made sure that we use the exact same password, so or they wish to join me. Alright, so let me accept them. And as you can see, they've joined in perfectly fine. So here it is. He's one of the friends that I got, and they got in successfully. So as I pointed out earlier, you gotta make sure that you have the exact same password, otherwise they won't be able to join you. If you want to change the lobby password, say for example your friends use a different one and you want to change the one that they use, then you can do so by using an FTP client and connect FTP client to your PS3. Okay, so I'm back on my PC, and one of the ways to connecting to PS3's FTP access is, for example, using FileZilla. And in order to connect to your PS3 using FTP client, first you have PS3 hand enabled on your PS3, and second, we need to insert our IP address of the PS3 console that we just read previously, and then we need to press quick connect. Now that we have successfully connected using the FTP client, we need to go to 8def_HTTP0, then TMP, and then you have something called patchwork_lobby_password.txt. We need to download this file to our PC. We can drag and drop it anywhere, and now that we have our file downloaded. We can use any text editor, but I suggest using something like hex editor so we can actually see exactly how the file is edited. Now we have this exact file that we just downloaded. As you can see, we have this password right here, and in order to change the password, you just simply need to overwrite the password in the right side. We just need to type whatever password that we need changed. If we end up going for a longer password, then it's going to ask that this is going to change the file size. We want to continue. Once that we have it modified to the password that you want to update to, we click save. We exit out of the hex editor and we drag and drop this file back to our PS3 using FileZilla. We make sure to set to overwrite the file, and this modified file has been uploaded back to our PS3. And this is how you can change the lobby password, so you can make sure that you can connect to your friends using the same password as they use. And this is going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and if you have any problems, feel free to comment down below the video. We will try to guide you through by answering those comments down below this video, and hopefully solve the issues that you guys encounter. Be sure to subscribe to LBP Union YouTube channel to follow for new tutorials for other platforms, as well as for news regarding pretty much anything related to Beacon or LBP Union. But once again, thank you guys for watching. This is Kubac from LBP Union signing out. Have a good one.